prior day's passing cold front covered us in bucks, fast action for all fortunate enough to be in a tree stand. But the day before the big event offered excitement of its own. With a warm temperature, no one expected the bucks to move. In fact, we worked through the midday hours, feasting on grilled backstrap and planning our hunts for the next day. On their way back to eastern Iowa, Jared Mills and Josh Sparks stopped for a quick hunt on a small block of public land.
It is October 26th, and Jared and I are back in a tree on the public land. We were actually on our way home from work in the day and decided to get out for a quick hunt. I've never sat in this spot before. Basically, we identified on the map a big creek bottom that's going to be right on the edge of a cornfield to the south. So basically what our idea was, we were just going to walk in until we found a good creek crossing, and we found a good pinch right here, a couple different types of sign, and we're just hoping to catch these deer funneling out to the corn tonight. I know we've got really cold temps coming overnight. Supposed to have a 20-degree drop for tomorrow, so hopefully these deer get up on their feet at this front coming through. Like I said, no idea what to expect, new spot, but got about another hour and a half here, so we're gonna sit back and see what happens.
As the action starts near Josh's impromptu public land stand site, 120 miles to the southeast in northern Missouri, Mitch Mollerus heads toward his best stand.
Well, today is October 26th. It's pretty hot. It's about 70 degrees. The pressure's not ideal. It's about a 29.5. But the wind was finally right to come in here and hunt, and it's just kind of that time of year to get in here and hunt here. So, in the history, I have really good sets here during this time of the season. So, there's two other bucks that have shown up that I do believe are mature. There's a tight 9-pointer and a tight heavy 10. The 10 has actually shown up in daylight a couple times. I just had him the other evening up this way a little bit, and it was about 7 o'clock. You can still kind of see the trees in the background of the camera, so we're hoping that one of them bucks show up. Definitely believe they are mature and be happy to get one of them, so should be a good set. See what happens. I'm absolutely sick. That's that tight rack 9-pointer we were in here hunting. He come in on us, well, completely out the opposite direction we were expecting a deer to come in tonight. And he come in the woods right here. He was 15 yards max. I had lifted this stand up and I wasn't paying attention, and the bow caught this stand and I just slung that arrow. I was way off. Absolutely sick. That's the first buck I've shot at in 7 years with my bow, and I completely blew it. I should have made sure that my bow wasn't going to clear that stand, and I didn't. That's my fault.
To add insult to injury, Mitch's buck steps out into the field just out of bow range. Mitch now has even more motivation to make good from this stand. Now it is all about redemption. Back on the southern Iowa public land, time is slipping away. Josh pulls out his antlers, hoping to make something happen.
any shot, he's gonna get downwind, so as soon as you can shoot it, do it. Can you shoot it there? Josh, can you shoot it there? Turns, get ready. Well, we just did a rattling sequence and had a little buck come downwind of us. And I looked up the ridge and a really, really nice deer came in, dumped in the creek, and I got my 34-yard pin on him. He caught a ground scent or something and popped right up this ridge again. And Jared said he was on him, and I took the shot, and we can't tell in the video what the deal is. He ducks between this like hanging tree over the creek. I'm gonna get down, go see if I can't find my arrow and if there's any blood, but that was a really big deer. So, got a deer behind us. There's a deer behind us. Another buck.
After climbing down from his stand, Josh finds his arrow almost clean. It is immediately obvious that his suspicions were well-founded. The string-jumping buck fell out from under the shot, leading to a minor flesh wound. With scant blood, Josh quickly loses the trail and decides to come back the next morning to continue the search.
Well, it's the next morning, and Troy, Jared, and myself are a couple minutes away from the property that we hit this deer. Basically, we ran into the problem of running out of blood, so what I had to do is give the landowner to the south of Cole, where we think that deer was running, and luckily she was gracious enough to just give me the green light to go across that fence if we need to. But we're just going to go to that last spot that we had blood. It's daylight now, so we should be able to see a lot further. And hopefully it's opened up a little bit and we can see some distance. So we're a couple minutes away. We're going to get back on that trail and hopefully we can find a buck. There's a deer actually right there running across the road, a small buck. On public land.
Several hours of walking yield nothing, no more blood. Now, totally certain that the hit produced only a flesh wound, Josh abandons the search. Low light accuracy requires a sight with bright pins. Fuse sights have some of the brightest pins on the market, making it possible to take shots right up to the end of legal shooting time with total confidence. Nikon offers a wide range of optics for the hunting community. From laser rangefinders to scopes and binoculars, the technology they put into their products has always been cutting edge. We depend on Nikon for non-stop performance regardless of weather or light conditions. Realtree makes 12 different styles of their famous and highly functional Easy Hanger. You can find one that is perfect for holding your bow close at hand, stowing your gear, or positioning a video camera where you can easily capture your hunt. There's even a model that allows you to quickly attach a trail camera to a tree. One of the biggest challenges we face when planting food plots is getting larger seeds, like soybeans, in the ground at the proper depth. Doing this requires a drill or planter. You can't just throw them out in hope. This is one of the strengths of the RTP Genesis seeder. It plants large seeds at the perfect depth for consistent germination and a solid stand. 60 miles to the west of where Jared and Josh lost sign, I head back after the wide 10, with the cold front now full upon me.
It's the 27th of October, and we finally got what we've been waiting 11 months for, and that's a cold front deep into the pre-rut, right on the cusp of the regular rut. But I'm going back to the same spot where I hunted on Tuesday and had a close encounter with this buck I'm calling the wide 10. A couple of days ago, Drake and I came in and sawed out a ditch that brings us in the back way to this tree stand where we hunted last Tuesday. We really almost messed that up because we walked through the food plot leading into the tree stand and the deer hit that scent. And we got fortunate that the buck didn't spook off it and the does that he was chasing, they didn't spook off it, but that just highlighted a weakness that we had there.
With expectations high, I settle in for the afternoon. 40 miles to the west, Caleb Byers is also taking advantage of the passing front. With still no sign of the goat, he heads to a small, isolated clover plot with a record of producing buck encounters.
We have a major weather front that just moved in. We have about a 25-degree drop from yesterday, and the conditions are absolutely perfect other than the wind is blowing about 25 miles an hour. We decided to come into our clover plot this evening basically off past history. The clover plot just hasn't been as good as it normally is, unfortunately, but we came in here 2 times so far. The first time we had an encounter with a mature buck that if he comes in tonight, I would gladly take him off the farm. We're basically after 2 bucks. That buck that came out the other night we call Louisiana, and we're after split brow. With a little luck, you know, there's a lot of does that stay in this area, so hopefully a buck will come here just to fresh up the scrape, check for does, and hopefully we can at least get on the board. We are not off to that great of a start so far, but it can all change on a dime, so hopefully we can do just that tonight. Got us. Oh no. Well, it's about 5:30 now, and we just seen our 3rd buck of the night. And it's a buck that we know all too well this year. That's our 3rd encounter just this year, and he's a 4-year-old that we're just, you know, we really want to get to next year to see what he's going to turn into. We got a turkey at about 20 yards now, so I better get quiet, but it's been a great set so far.
Back on my farm, the deer start moving early. I'm enjoying the action despite the stiff wind blowing in my face.
We've been on stand for about a half an hour and the cold is already starting to creep in. That wind is really raw tonight. We got in without bumping anything, perfectly clean. Oop. Got one coming. Right here. I've only been on stand for about a half an hour, and that's the first action of the evening right there. I expect that wide 10 to come out of the opening on the other side of this food plot. So I was standing here staring at that opening, and these 4 bucks popped out right below me to the right. It's a good sign that they're out moving this early. It's still 2.5 hours before the end of legal shooting time.
Darkness brings October 27th to a close, but not before we enjoy one of the best days of pre-rut action we have experienced in years. With the passing cold front, Caleb and Taylor Byers chose to sit in their Redneck Outfitter HD bail blind, from which they have had some great hunts over the years. The blind's natural materials and realistic shape never put deer on alert, and those features allowed the 2 hunters to once again encounter a great October whitetail. Redneck blinds allow me to hunt more comfortably on cold days, and that means I hunt longer. That is one important key to success. You have to be out there if you hope to fill tags. Positioning of the Ozonics unit is important to its effectiveness. With this in mind, Ozonics makes several different mounting systems that you can use to attach the unit to the tree or the ground blind in the perfect position to rain ozone down on your scent stream. Staying comfortable and hydrated through long, sweaty days requires a class-leading cooler, one that can take the abuse of life in a pickup bed and still hold ice for days. That is why American-made Grizzly coolers go with us on every scouting trip. 3 days after missing the tight rack 9-pointer, Mitch Mollerus heads back to the same northern Missouri tree stand.
We're back in that setup where I missed that 9-pointer the other night. On the way in, checked the camera, and he's been all over it. The night I actually missed him, he worked that scrape. We didn't even know he was there. And then he worked his way in. And just this morning, the guy that owns the place, him and his son were out. It's Missouri youth season, that's why we got the orange on here. They were out and they seen him. The son couldn't get on him. We've already had a 2-year-old buck that I got on camera down the field from us, zigzagging back and forth like he was a bird dog in a hot dough. So, fingers crossed the bucks will be on their feet, looking to get that 9-pointer. Hopefully with a little bit of luck, he'll come back through here and maybe get a little bit easier of a shot on him tonight. She's kind of mean this way. He's making a scrape. Yeah. I don't think he's gonna make his way down here. Well, we just had that 9-pointer. Then come back out in the field. He's down there. He had a doe with him. Seemed like he might have been tending her pretty tight. She was headed down the edge of the field. I got pretty excited thinking she was going to come right down through here. Sure enough, he got a little bumpy with her. And she shot back in the timber, so he went back in there with her. Got probably about, I don't know, hour, 45 minutes left of light. So. Do you want me to range? I don't want to try to reach one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to shoot him all the way across there or not. That's a pretty good poke. Yeah, I know. probably what? He's gotta be close to 50 right there, Tyler. Did I get up in that shoulder too much? Oh my God. I'm really nervous. I got too far up in his shoulder. She walked in at 40. I ranged her at 42. He was right here. He was probably 45, 46 yards. I put my 40-yard pin on him, touched it off. And I'm just worried about how far forward I am on this deer. The good thing is I'm shooting that full metal jacket arrow. And those things, man, when they hit hard and drive. So, fingers crossed we got in there and got some artery. I'm still shaken up about the whole thing. That's the first deer that I've shot, mature buck, in 7 years with my bow. There's blood all the way up here. You think he's squirting? I'll break down the deers out here, I promise you.
Oh, thank you so much.
God dang. He didn't go anywhere. Oh, he's stiff as a board. This is a deer that I missed on Thursday. Completely blew the shot. The deer come in, he was about 15, 20 yards. And I was pretty devastated over it. I felt terrible. It was a horrible shot. I was glad I didn't actually hit him in the face. So we come in here tonight, had the right wind, and sure enough, he shows up. He worked a scrape at 60 yards, and he started making his way. It was probably about a 48-yard shot. And after missing the other day, I was real nervous about taking it, but Tyler said, you got it. I am absolutely tickled to death with this deer. So we're gonna go ahead and get him out of here and do a little celebrating. I'm gonna have to take off work tomorrow and enjoy this.
On this hunt, Mitch Mollerus chose to use Easton's 5mm full metal jacket arrow. With a high-strength carbon core and an aluminum jacket, Mitch's arrow penetrated deep enough for a fatal shot, even though he hit the buck in the shoulder. The right underwear is just as important as the right outerwear. Layering is critical to staying warm, and one of the steps that I take every time I go to the tree stand is to put on my Cabela's ECWS thermal underlayer. Keeps you warm even under some of the coldest conditions. For more than 40 years, Wasp Archery has been making durable and dependable broadheads. They set the standard for the industry when they invented the first replaceable blade broadhead in 1972. This family-owned brand is built on a generation of innovation and continues to be made right here in the United States. Wasp offers a broadhead model for every style of bow hunting. Check them out at wasparchery.com.
Absolutely sick. That's the first buck I've shot at in 7 years with my bow, and I completely blew it.
I'm gonna get down, go see if I can't find my arrow and if there's any blood, but that was a really big deer.
We have a major weather front that just moved in. We have about a 25-degree drop from yesterday.
I expect that wide 10 to come out of the opening on the other side of this food plot.
Look at him. Look at him so
The behavior of Mitch's tight-racked buck is now the rule. All across the Midwest, this scene is playing out with increasing frequency. Though our late October has been one to remember, the future is still our ultimate goal. Every day, the rutting momentum builds. With only 2 days remaining on this calendar page, we are on the brink of realizing an 11-month dream. Those 2 days will take us to exactly where we want to go. Then we will be chasing November.